Welcome in to another episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, the real underscore G Warner. It is Monday, June 19th, and this is episode number 207. Thank you if you've been around since the first one. Probably need to get your own psychological exam that they just put Greg Berhalter through, but I appreciate that. And let's find a way to win some money today. Going to go through the European qualifiers that are on Monday and Tuesday of this week, and then try to figure out what the soccer schedule or soccer podcast schedule will be going forward. I expect to come out with futures episodes for each of the top 5 European soccer leagues, maybe even a Champions League or something like that. But those schedules are yet to be determined. And honestly, a lot of the teams are not decided. So those might come a little bit later, but why not? It's about to be a real summer after these qualifiers are finished. I know there's a Gold Cup and probably a bunch of other tournaments, but they're much smaller scale, and I'm not really sure how much demand there will be. If there is, please slide in the DMs, the real underscore G Warner. Hit me up on Patreon as well, or anywhere you can find it, the real underscore G Warner, and I will happily chat and maybe come out with some episodes, or even I'll take some requests. Not a DJ, but whatever music you want to hear, song you want to hear, and if I can contribute to it, let me know. Like I said on this podcast, we'll go through the Euro 2024 qualifiers, try to get some money in our pocket earlier this week. Come out with an ultimate best bet. Before we get into that, want to make sure, as I mentioned already, if you're not on Patreon with me, I suggest you check it out. It's a good way to get all my picks in one place. I put my leans out each night, and I'll go through the day giving everything that I'm thinking about, write-ups before they will ever hit Twitter, what I've kind of worked on each day before we get to lineups and things of that nature. So check it out, the patreon.com/the real underscore G Warner. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'd love a 5-star review. That would be great to get me up the search bar, or whatever we call it. I don't have a pregame.com promo code for this episode, but check out the baseball podcast, which we recorded last night, and I will be tweeting out a little bit later, maybe this afternoon. But let's get right into it. All lines quoted in this podcast are courtesy of betonline.ag, my favorite place to get my bets down early. Reduced juice is offered on almost every game you want to bet right up until game time. Please follow the link found in the podcast description to fund your account, and use the promo code GW50 to receive a 50% match bonus up to $1,000. So it's time to get in. We'll start here with a nice little refresh of these numbers and go through Monday and Tuesday of Euro 2024 qualifiers and come out with some best bets. So we start with a match that kicks off, 3 matches that kick off in about an hour. Finland hosts San Marino. Currently, Finland a 3 3/4 goal favorite. The over/under is 4. Not a lot of expectations for San Marino, and they are bad. One of the worst teams, one of the smallest nations, so I guess you can't really blame them. But that's kind of the situation here. Finland on 6 points, with 4 teams all in Group H on 6 points. I figured, I'm not sure that the table matters so much right now, because we're only 3 matches in to a 10-match schedule, 30% of the way done, and some teams have played less based on Nations League and other commitments. But it's the top 2 in each group get in automatically to the Euro, and then I think there's also some sort of other playoff system, but that's yet to be determined or understood by me, so I'll get to that later. Finland, they're not a great offense, but they were pretty in control of their last match, and then I feel like against San Marino they should be as well. I don't really feel like I have much interest in the road underdogs. I think it could get ugly. Ukraine then hosts Malta. Ukraine with a huge comeback win over North Macedonia in the midweek. And now they get to host Malta, though I think they're playing in some faraway land that's not Ukraine, because there's a war going on, unfortunately. Ukraine are in second in their group, on 3 points, 6 points behind England, who have won all of their matches and look pretty safe to go through. But still a long way to go. The Italians are also in there, but played in the Nations League, so they have not played at all in this little window. Ukraine, I think, will be eyeing, they're 2 1/4 goal favorite, almost all the juice on Malta on the road. Over under is 3.5, juice to the under. Malta, they are bottom of the table, have scored 1 goal so far in 3 matches, have lost all of them. Another one where it could get ugly, and I just don't know if there's any interest that I have in under or in the underdog. Armenia then hosts Latvia. Armenia coming off a huge victory at Wales, coming from behind and then somehow putting up 4 goals. Was pretty incredible. Armenia currently a 3/4 goal favorite to Latvia. with all the juice right now, potentially climb into a 1-goal favorite by the time this kicks off in less than an hour. Over-under is 2.5, with juice about to be split a little bit more on the over side. Latvia took a red card in their last match, so they'll be without one of their players. I can't say I know too many of their Latvians that are out there. They're on the bottom of the table on 0 points. Armenia got their first win at Wales, huge win there. I'm not necessarily sure. Armenia didn't have Henrik Mkhitaryan. I'm assuming he's retired from international football, probably because he didn't have high expectations for making this Euro, but that was a huge win at Wales. More probably a bad loss for Wales than a great win for Armenia, but you could certainly say it was huge. I have questions about the Armenia offense, I must say. They've always been a really defensive side, and I've had some success backing them in these type of competitions, but it's a little weird of a scenario as a big favorite now, climbing to almost 1 goal, probably will be getting there before it kicks off. And Latvia, I mean, I'm not really sure what teams that really don't have much of a chance to get in. I think they're ultimately trying to go on the road and get a single point. I think the easiest way to do that is keep a clean sheet and finish goalless. So my biggest interest in this one is the Latvia under 2.5. I don't know necessarily that there's a ton of talent on these two teams, which does worry me because you want good defensive players if you're going to play unders. But most of the time in these type of competitions, goals are scored by really good players. And if there aren't a lot on the pitch, you might see a sloppy 0-0, and that's the greatest goal scorer for me as an underdog and under player. Moving to the big window at 2:45 Eastern time, we'll go with Slovenia hosting Denmark. And this is actually should be a pretty competitive match based on at least where the table sits. So that doesn't say a lot. But Slovenia with a really good start to their campaign. They had won both of their matches until they lost their last one against Finland, I believe, on the road, I think it was. Denmark currently on 6 points as well. They have a single loss. I think they lost in a shock defeat to Kazakhstan. But Denmark, they've had a really up and down run. They're a team I thought were in really great position to win their group with France in the World Cup and potentially be a dark horse to win the World Cup in general. They didn't even get out of their group in really embarrassing fashion, took that loss to Kazakhstan. So you could say that there's troubled waters right now for the Danes. Their manager's been maintained. They had a good win in their last matchup just under a week ago. And so now they're going on the road to Slovenia, who are not really the strongest team by any means. And currently Denmark are a 0.5 goal favorite with all the juice right now. Over under is 2.25, juice pretty heavily to the under. I'm not sure what to say about Denmark because I've never really believed in them being this great offense. They are, as a road favorite, you kind of clearly have to score goals because a goalless draw will not get you done and will pay a full bet out on Slovenia. I think for the most part, I'm interested in Slovenia just because I think they have enough of it's not these. Unfortunately, the attendance at these events, at these World Cup Euro 2024 qualifiers, have not exactly been filled with fans. Slovenia is not a huge country. I mean, it's over next to Italy. And I think will be seen as the biggest match that they have. In order to get into this competition, if they can get 3 points at home to the biggest club or biggest country that's in their group, I think that's really going to say something. And hopefully the crowd will respond to that. But I can't say, I mean, in a club season, that like Salernitana in Italy would get a big turnout for Juventus, but I'm not sure about Slovenia with Denmark, unfortunately. And I do think that's going to impact my interest in backing them. I do like the home dog. I do like the under. And when both those things come together, that does get me pretty close to making a play. So we'll talk about it later, potentially. It's the ultimate best bet portion of the show. Northern Ireland then hosts Kazakhstan. Northern Ireland on 3 points after they lost their last match. I think, unfortunately, due to a goal that was ruled out. I think that was against the Danes on the road. Now they're at home. They host Kazakhstan, who are on 6 points. I think very surprisingly winning their last 2 matches over Denmark. And their other win was against, I think, San Marino. So it's a match they should have won. But Northern Ireland currently a 3/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice. Over under is 2.25. Juice heavily to the under. This is another one of those matches where I'm not sure that I trust Kazakhstan as much. I don't want to fall in love with their shock defeat at Denmark because it's really hard for a lot of these big underdogs to really put that up and then follow it up again. But I think I'm most interested in the under 2.25. I am wanting to get a 2.25 before it falls to 2. So if you're interested in playing this one, you might want to take a hard look and try to grab it before it falls to the eventual 2. Northern Ireland, they are known for, or at least the players I know on their side are goalkeeper and defenders. So there's not really a lot in the attacking areas, which I think does also play into that under as well. I think Kazakhstan are off to an incredible start, but based on this number and being such a gigantic underdog to a pretty limited side like Northern Ireland, makes me think that this is the best way to go. This one is not to expect a lot of goals and potentially see it under 2.25 come through. Next, we'll move to Israel hosting Andorra. Andorra, one of the smallest nations in Europe, and Israel are a 2.25 goal favorite with the over under at 3.25, slightly juiced to the under. Israel, they're a better side, I think, than a lot of people would expect. I don't know if they're really even a European country, but they found a way into UEFA. They're currently on 4 points, 3 points behind Romania and 5 behind perfect Switzerland, who've won all their matches. Israel with a good win in their last one, I think against Belarus, who are sitting bottom of the table. And now they get another chance against a team like Andorra. Sean Weissman has been a great striker in La Liga or La Liga 2, the Segunda División, as a name certainly to be known, but there's not really a lot of other star power in the Israeli side. I don't know necessarily that there's a lot for me to do with this one. So I'll move on to Belarus hosting Kosovo. Belarus, they are bottom of that table. Kosovo with 3 draws and 3 matches so far. I thought impressed me, outplayed Romania for a lot of their home match. And I got to say, kind of coming out of the woodwork are some good attackers from that Kosovan side. Currently, Belarus a 3/4 goal underdog at home. So Kosovo is getting a lot of respect here, bigger than I was expecting. But Zagrova, the Lille player who's just honestly drove a stake through my heart multiple times this season, especially with late goals, nearly did it again, but a tough offside call got that goal, and the only one that was scored chalked off in their match at home against Romania. So it's kind of a missed opportunity, and Kosovo should be probably very inspired to win this matchup. I don't know that I have any sort of intake or insight into Belarus, so I'll move on next to Switzerland hosting Romania. And these are the top 2 sides in Group I at the moment. I as in India. The Swiss, like I said, 3-0, 3 wins, 9 points, 10-1 goals for, goals against, so +9 goal differential. Romania on 7 points, 2 wins until that draw at Kosovo was a pretty probably good step for them, as they've won both their other matches and then went on the road and got a point. So unbeaten so far. This is the big one, because if Romania can get a result here, I think that puts them in really good position to be one of the top 2 sides and qualify automatically for Euro 2024. The Swiss have a lot of great players playing all over Europe. Of course, Romania are more of a kind of a younger side that I think are building I've been following a lot, especially after watching their match against Kosovo, that there's not a lot of love for the Romanian side from their fans, it seemed. But the Romanians, they are, I think, young and growing. They've got Dragushin, who's a very highly rated center back in their back line, who I think also another player next to him whose name is escaping right now, Busha or something like that. They played really well against Vedat Marici, who's one of the most difficult strikers to defend in all of world football. I mean, watched a lot of Spanish league and La Liga defenders really struggle with them. And that's why Mallorca were in the potential European discussion for a long time, despite being one of the lowest budgets. There's a lot of work to be done there for Romania. I think goal scoring, I was really disappointed against Kosovo, though ultimately it was like a rain-soaked, almost flooded pitch where you could see puddles just all over the place. I was kind of surprised they even played the match, but certainly I think factored into the 0-0 draw. I think this is going to be a tough situation for Romania. I didn't see anything to like from their offense at Kosovo. I don't think that a ton will change against the Swiss, who are just so much stronger and have many first division players all across Europe. So I don't know that I'm as interested in the 1.25, though. I honestly, before I watched the Kosovo match, I don't want to change too much from my opinion, but I thought Romania would be a side that I'd like to look into backing. I think I still do, but I think I'm more interested in the under 2.5, as you basically get a double on that 1.25 that Romania are currently getting. It's even money as we speak. And I don't know that I trust the Swiss to score, though they've certainly looked more apt to score than most I think then I would expect their players to be able to do. They played better as a unified spirit, and I think that matters in this type of competition. But does it matter enough to get 3 goals? I'm not sure. And if they can keep a clean sheet, I think it's going to be hard to see this one going over. Next, go to England, hosting North Macedonia. Currently, England a 2.5 goal favorite. A little more juice on North Macedonia. Over under is 3.25, juiced to the under. England, they're one of the best nations in Europe. They're dominant. They should control and beat a North Macedonian side, which, I mean, we're up 2-0 after a great goal from Elif Elmas from outside the box to get to that 2-0 lead, and then lost and gave up 3 in a row to the Ukraine, and also took a red card with, I think, 20 minutes to go, which really put them in a bad position. In terms of the standings, let me find that as I scroll on my other laptop. North Macedonia currently on 3 points, sitting 4th out of 5. Same amount of matches played as Italy, so they're not so bad. And there's certainly a rivalry there after keeping the Italians out of the World Cup. I don't really have a lot of faith in North Macedonia going into, I think, Old Trafford at Manchester United, and going in there and doing too much. England probably should have plenty of fun with the North Macedonians today, so I'll probably avoid that one. France then hosts Greece, and France currently a 1.5 goal favorite. Juice is split. Over under is 2.75, juice a little bit to the under. I mean, Greece had a good win against Ireland. They're currently on 6 points, perfect 2 wins and 2 matches played. They are in a tough group with Ireland also, plus the Netherlands and France, who they're playing. France are on perfect, no goals conceded, 8 goals scored, 3 wins and 3. Didn't really have as much fun with Gibraltar as I think we would have expected, but ultimately are only 1.5 goal favorite right here. Greece are known as being a really defensive side from the years before when they won the Euro, I think in 2000, for example. It's a little bit different of a side now, but they are nothing. I mean, no one really can hold a candle to France's talent. So can Greece go on the road and hang with France potentially? There are always questions about France, how much they like each other, how much they care, blah, blah, blah. But I think that this is still a competition for them, and they're probably focused on the sunbeds that are coming up. But for now, they want to get this win out of the way. I think if you're interested in playing Greece, I think you'd expect them not to score much. So you'd want to look to that under 2.75. But I feel like France needs to have someone that's going to compete with them to really make that happen. So I'm not sure I want that. Next, we'll move to Ireland, hosting Gibraltar. Ireland, a 3.25 goal favorite, with almost all the juice. Over unders 3.75, juiced a little bit to the under. Gigantic number, but especially for Ireland, who's done nothing to win this comp. They've scored 1 goal so far in the competition, and they have 2 losses in their 2 matches so far. Ireland are not a really good goal scoring team. There's not a lot for me to do here with this one. Gibraltar is such a small nation. It's really hard to know if they'll compete. Last but not least, on Monday matches, we have Turkey hosting Wales. Currently, Wales probably as angry as you could possibly be after choking away a lead at home against Armenia. But those things will happen, and certainly will make this a little bit more interesting as they try to qualify for a tournament without Gareth Bale for the first time in a long time. Turkey currently a 0.5 goal favorite with all the juice right now at home. Over under 2.25, juice to the over. Now, these 2 teams played in the last Euro. I had a lot of faith in Turkey, and they did nothing to repay that faith the last time they played. Turkey had a really disastrous Euro 2020, played in 2021. Had a late win that they were able to put up against Latvia after taking a lead, conceding an equalizer, and scored really late. I don't know the Turkish defense is really good enough. I mean, we've seen Çağlar Söyüncü playing so many minutes for them and then really just being a disaster in the Premier League. Certainly a different level than facing a Welsh side. But the Wales team is young. They've got a lot of talent, I think, and I think they can compete here. I'm interested to see if this number climbs from 0.5 goal based on where the juice is to Wales getting 0.75 of a goal or something of that nature. I think Turkey are a good offense, but not that great. Their defense has problems. I think Wales are going to go in there to defend and make it hard for them, which makes me also feel like I kind of have some interest in the under 2.25 as well. But I think I like the Wales side better just because I think we'll get that 3.25 or that 0.75 of a goal before it kicks off. And I feel like there should be a very motivated Welsh side to go in there and try to use their young talent and to try to make up for their Armenian disaster. The Armenian disaster at the end. Moving to Tuesday, I guess I should make an ultimate best bet for Monday for everyone who's listening. I think I'm gonna go with that That Wales, I'm gonna go with Wales plus 1/2. Don't have the 3/4 just yet, but I like the even money, and I like that. I think that's going to be a very competitive match today on Monday afternoon here in the United States. Moving to Tuesday, we start with Iceland hosting Portugal. Portugal with a pretty good showing this weekend against Bosnia-Herzegovina, or last week, whenever it was. They're currently just destroying their Group J right now. Iceland are near the bottom, ahead of Liechtenstein, but they should be. Currently, Iceland a 1.5 goal underdog at home, with the over-under is 2 3/4. Juice the over. Should be a tough weather type of situation for Portugal, because Iceland, I think I saw in their last match, everyone was wearing like full winter jackets. I guess that's how it goes in Reykjavik. But this Iceland team is not as good as they've been in the past, and I'm not interested in fading Portugal. Moldova then hosts Poland. Currently, Moldova 1 3/4 goal favorite. Juice the split, over unders 2 3/4. Juice the over. Poland got a good win in a friendly against Germany at home, but now they go on the road to Moldova. I don't really have a lot of expectations for Moldova, so I'll move on to the next. And that is Hungary hosting Lithuania. Currently, Hungary a 2 goal favorite. A little bit more of the juice. The under is 3. Juice the under. I mean, I went to Hungary and the Magyars, and their big upset win at Germany in the Nations League towards the end of last season in September. I expect their crowd to be insane. Lithuania, who took an early red card trying to stop a goal scoring opportunity in their last match. I'm not sure that's a big miss, because I don't think there's huge difficulties replacing players, because everyone for Lithuania sees the same. I don't really know that I have much of an interest. They're going to try their best to keep slow scoring as possible. So if you need to play something, I think under 3 in that one. Liechtenstein then hosts Slovakia as a 3 goal underdog at home. Almost all the juice, over unders 3 3/4, juice heavily to the under. Slovakia are not a team that score a lot of goals, so this is a gigantic number, but I think that's because Liechtenstein are so small. Bulgaria then hosts Serbia. Currently, Bulgaria 1 goal underdog at home. A little bit more of the juice on Serbia on the road. Over unders 2.5. Juiced pretty heavily to the under. All the juices there. Maybe it falls to 2 1/4. Serbia had a friendly, I believe, and looked fine in that, and then they're on top of their group right now at 6 points. Bulgaria have 1 point from 3 matches played. Couldn't take advantage of the red card, did equalize, but were not able to take an important victory at Lithuania. So I don't know. Serbia have a lot of great talent. I'm not looking to fade them, I don't think. And I feel like they score goals, so I don't think an under is worth it there either. Estonia then hosts Belgium as we continue with these just big time lopsided matches and spreads. Belgium on 4 points with a kind of a disappointing draw against Austria, but I believe that was on, I think might have been at home. Estonia currently a 1 3/4 goal underdog, as I just said. They're on 1 point through 2 matches played, and should have no business hanging around the Belgian side, though. Belgium working into a new manager, new situation, trying to kind of replace younger players, or missing Kevin De Bruyne, and that did impact them at Austria, though I felt like they were the better side, but did not get to 3 points. Don't think I'm fading Belgium with Estonia, as they tend to kill teams, and I've felt the wrath before of the Red Devils. Austria then hosts Sweden. This is a pretty good matchup. Sweden on 3 points. I don't think they had a match in the early part of this window. Austria with the draw against Belgium. Pretty tough 2 matches to get up for back to back, but they took a lead, surrendered an equalizer to Lukaku, and then held on thanks to a crossbar coming in to help them late on a Yuri Tillmans shot from outside the box. The Swedes, I think, had a really disappointing run in and didn't make the World Cup, losing in the playoff, I believe, to Poland, in a spot where I really liked the Swedish side to win, and they couldn't get it done. They are, however, going to Austria, to Vienna, the stadium I went to see Croatia beat Austria, but different type of talents on those sides. So the Swedes, I think, are a lot more talented than they're getting credit for. Currently, Austria, a 0.5 goal favorite. All the juice on Sweden right now on the road. Over unders 2 1/4, juiced to the over pretty heavily. I don't know the Swedes. I feel like their defense is pretty disappointing in that Poland match, but I'm very interested in getting that 0.5 goal for them. I'm not sure necessarily that I'm going to back that just yet. I do want to do some research and see kind of what they're going to look like and their squad will look like, but I don't think the Austrians are that strong. Got a lot of Bundesliga players for sure, but Sweden's got, I mean, plenty of great players. We've seen Alexander Isak and his performances, both at Real Sociedad and La Liga, but also for Newcastle in the Premier League, in English Premier League, that there's talent in that Swedish side. They play usually with a defensive mindset, and I like that setup on the road as an underdog with a good counterattacking pacey type of forward up front, assuming Isak will be in there. Next, we move to Bosnia-Herzegovina hosting Luxembourg. Currently, Bosnia a 1-goal favorite. All the juice on Luxembourg on the road. Over/under is 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to the under. I don't know necessarily that Luxembourg are as bad as you would think based on their name. They've got some players. I know Barrero plays for Mainz in the German Bundesliga. That doesn't say enough for them, probably. But these two sides, both middle of Group J behind Portugal and Slovakia. Big matchup. And I'm kind of surprised to see Bosnia is this big of a favorite. I guess they do have bigger names than Dzeko and some other good players. But I think if anything, I like under 2.5 in this one, as I think this is going to be a little bit closer than expected. Of course, getting a push on +1 is very nice, but I'm not sure that that's enough for me just yet. Next, I'll move to Norway and Cyprus. Currently, Norway a 2.25 goal favorite, coming off a disastrous collapse to Scotland. 1-0 lead, took Holland off, 1-1, and then 2-1 the wrong way, or 1-2, I guess is a better way to say it, with the road team winning. So this is going to be an angry Norway team. They're probably going to come out for blood. That hasn't really helped them because they've certainly led a lot of good results. I mean, they lost to Spain with a lot of late goals. They collapsed in that Scotland match. They drew Georgia. I mean, not a very good start for Norway. And unfortunately, Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard might not make it to the Euro, which would be very disappointing. But I'm not really interested in backing the Cypriots. I think they're going to be the worst team in this division. Or this group, and I'm not looking to really step out on them. Next, we move to Scotland, a 1-goal favorite against Georgia at home, with all the juice on Scotland right now. There's 2.25, juice the over. I feel like there's a good chance to bet against a Scottish side that are probably did nothing for 86 minutes or so at Norway. Maybe that was the game plan, but they were losing forever, so I don't think it was. I think they would have changed things if they could have before. Got a couple late goals, deserved, I think, but great finishes that kind of came out of nowhere. I do feel like this is a good spot to be against them. I like the Georgian side and what they have with Kvaratskhelia. I don't know necessarily. I want to make sure he's in that lineup because that's so important for them as the Georgian Messi, as they've called him for a while now. And it's something he's certainly delivered on so far. I think I like that +1, as I don't really trust Scotland to score a lot of goals, which also makes me like the under 2.25, I think, more, because you get a lot more to play with. And even if Kvaratskhelia does get on the board, I guess that would potentially harm the under, but certainly would help the side. I like Georgia in this one just in general. I think that they can take advantage of a Scottish side that probably is a little bit overconfident from stealing a match that they had no business winning. And last but not least, before we go through the ultimate best bet, the Faroe Islands, currently 3/4 goal underdog at home to Albania. Over/under is 2.25, juiced heavily to the under. The Faroe Islands had a good story a few years ago, but are not really good anymore, it seems. Albania currently, they're tied on 2 matches played, same amount of points as Poland, 4 points behind Czechia or Czech Republic. So I'm very interested to see what happens here, because Albania will certainly be making a run at Poland, should be inferior, but it's a pretty easy group in both Moldova and the Faroe Islands in it. I don't know necessarily that I think Albania deserved to be this type of favorite. I wish I had a little more respect for the Faroe Islands. So I think, if anything, I would like under 2.25, I think, most in this one. But that's, I guess, a little bit of a stretch. So I think it's now time to go through and do our ultimate best bet portion of this show. If you're listening on YouTube, please hit subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. That'd be huge for getting me up the search bar. If you're not already a member on Patreon, I mean, thanks to the supporters there. You guys have all been great interacting, and I guess getting leans each night and plays and kind of write-ups as they go through the day. Going to keep doing that as well. Going to start getting on that for the Euro qualifiers that are happening soon. But I feel like now it might be the time to get right into it. So this is the ultimate best bet portion of the show. I'm the real_G Warner on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can find me. This is betting the pitch number 207. For my ultimate best bet, I'm taking my best bet from Monday's European qualifying action. I'll go Wales plus 1/2 goal. And then on Tuesday, I really like the Georgia under 2.25 as my best bet for Tuesday. And I think for my ultimate best bet for this episode, I'm going to go with the Georgians and playing that under 2.25 on the road at Scotland. I really like the Georgian side also getting a full goal of insurance right now. But I feel like there's a little more safety in under 2.25. I don't really expect Scotland to score much. Their offense has been pretty non-existent going through the Euro 2020, plus stealing a match at Norway during this qualification window. They had no business winning, had done nothing offensively. I think the Georgians will be very focused on defending, and they have a lot more talent than I think you'd expect from a Georgian national team. So take Georgia under 2.25 goals on Tuesday in the European qualifiers. And that'll do it for this episode of Betting the Pitch. Thank you for coming on in. It's a little bit of an off-season type of thing. I know we're not covering the Manchester Uniteds of the world right now, but doing the best we can. As always, you can find me on Twitter, @thereal_G Warner, on Instagram, or wherever I'm trying to be. Slide in some DMs. I'd love to interact with all of you, and look forward to trying to put some more money in our pockets.